Hi, my name is Judy and I'm the City Stitcher, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is Sunday, June the 4th, and it has been a beautiful, beautiful sunshiny day. So I've spent a large amount of time outside basking in the sunlight. Okay, I'm pasty Alberta white, don't worry, full sunscreen, under an umbrella. So that kind of basking in sunlight, but really basking in warmth outside. It's been a beautiful day. And the forecast for this week is pretty good weather. I think there's a call for a little bit of rain, which I'm totally fine with. We desperately need rain. I was going to look up and see if I could find out what the wildfire count is, but I didn't. And it has been interesting because it hasn't been in the news as predominantly as it was before. However, we are still in the news where I live. We're still talking about out-of-control wildfires. We just happen to be focusing on the one in Halifax, which is on the eastern side of the country. So nowhere close to me. In fact, it's like, you know, I don't know. If you can get a direct flight, I think it's like about an 8-hour flight. It's practically as long as it takes to get to London, England, just because it's on the complete opposite side of the country. But they've got a very big out-of-control wildfire that is sort of, I would say it's in the greater Halifax area, which is a large city here up here in Canada. And in fact, I have some cousins who used to live in Halifax and actually built a house when they were living down there that is in the affected area. So the people in that area have been evacuated from their homes, and you know, all of their homes in that area are at risk of going up in flames due to an out-of-control wildfire. So my cousins are looking to get, every time they've got a chance to see a really good aerial view of where the fires are and what's going on, they're all over it because they're trying to see if the house that they built is at risk of burning up in this out-of-control wildfire. Now, they haven't lived in Halifax in well over 10 years, but you know, they still look at it and go like that. The house that we built when we lived in Halifax is at risk of being burned up. So, yeah, little bit of a connection there. But yeah, wildfires, and we're really early in the wildfire season. So, it's very concerning, just how quick and how large the wildfire season has started out here. So we might be talking about wildfires quite a bit this summer, which is unfortunate, but here's hoping for more rain everywhere. Honestly, I think everywhere in North America could do with like a really good chunk of rain. Like if it could just rain every night, like between 10 and midnight or midnight and 2 a.m., right? You know, if you're on shift work, I don't know how that works out for you, but you know, if we could just have a good rain in the middle of the night, that would be great all across North America. Anyway, I don't know how to make that happen, but anyway, despite all of that talk, this is a channel about predominantly cross-stitching and sometimes crocheting, depending on what I've done over the course of the previous week. So if you are a new viewer, thank you for stopping by and spending some time with me. And as always, thank you to those of you who come back and catch up on my stitching journey regularly and have a conversation with me through the comment section down below. So there were only a few comments on last week's video. So Angie has commented that she has now managed to get all 4 of the Stony Creek seasonal bell pulls. I'm thinking it's probably season 1 or series 1, which was the spring one that I did. She's planning on starting the autumn one first. I think she said for her birthday. So Angie, if you're looking, Dina from Half Stitch Cross Stitch was working on that one. So if you want to catch some videos on how that one progresses, check out her channel. I will put a link to her channel in the notes section down below. And if you just do the search on the channel, you should be able to find the videos where she worked on it. She's also planning on working on His Name is Jesus for her Advent sale. So I love that you're coming up with a plan for the rest of the year. That's great. And don't forget, if you want to see a version of that currently being stitched, Sarah, the Stitchin' Mommy, is working on that one as well. And then Amy had commented, because last week I was talking about potentially bleaching that piece of fabric to do the Jim Shore, to do my Jim Shore pattern on. And she was a little bit concerned that the results from dyeing a little piece versus the big piece could be dramatically different, which is entirely possible. So I will say, I have not come up with a final decision about what my plan is for that and what I'm going to do with that. Upside, according to the 5-year plan, I have, you know, probably almost 2 years, to come up with my plan for that one. Anyway, so dun, dun, dun. For those of you who are secretly keeping track behind the scenes of projects that I say that I'm going to be working on in the 5-year plan in advance, there you go. There's a hint for where that one may be showing up in the 5-year plan. But everything is subject to change in the 5-year plan. Don't forget. And in fact, I did spend a little bit of time this week looking at the 5-year plan because I was getting ready for the topic for today's video. And was looking at the 5-year plan and move some things around. So, you know, it's always good to have a plan, but the plan is not cast in stone and is entirely open to change at the drop of a hat or a pin or a pattern or anyway. So it's always good to have really good plans and, you know, then change whenever you want them. So that's my approach to planning, certainly from a crafting perspective. Ooh, I feel like I'm parched, which I'm not. Anyway, too much talking. Today's beverage of choice is peach juice. All right. And then the last comment I want to talk about is Jay, who was sort of commenting on how fantastic the Rainbow Gallery Overture thread was that I showed last week as part of my Stashquisitions. Yes, it's fantastic. And the DMC that goes with that is awesome. So that, I'm pretty sure I said this last week, that particular fiber is for the Fun Stuff pattern that I got at the Ujamagrammas sale by Debbie's Designs. It's a canvas work piece, and I am working to kit that one up, and I'm going to make sure that that one shows up in the 5-year plan. So I'm just having that, like, I don't know what things you see about your hair in the camera. Anyway, and I always look at this and go like, the hairdresser does it so much better than I do. Maybe one of these days I'll get the hang of it. Anyway, so yes, it's lovely. And once I get it all kitted up, I mean, you will be seeing the Stashquisitions as they're coming in, but I am expecting that they're going to come in dribs and drabs, given the different vendors that they're coming from and who I've ordered them with. So, but when it all comes together, I will show the complete kit so you can see what that's going to look like, because I think it's going to be amazing. It's one of those ones where I'm back in the camp of I'm 100% certain that the picture on the front cover of that does it no justice, and I'm really looking forward to working on it. And again, it's one of those ones where I have looked at the pattern this week because, you know, when you're putting the Stashquisitions away and I'm putting them in the project bag that design is in, I mean, you clearly have to haul out the pattern, look at the pattern, look at some of the stitch diagrams and go like, ooh, won't it be? I'm really looking forward to working on it. I think it's going to be super, super fun. But so that is going to be in the 5-year plan. Anyway, you'll see it. All right. And then Jay, you also made a comment about, you know, have I discovered Ravelry? And so here's the answer. I know about Ravelry. I'm really, really, really trying to stay away from Ravelry. Now, There have been some free charts that I've come across while I've been looking for things, and have found them on Ravelry and looked at a bunch of things. And, you know, when you watch, you know, various YouTube videos, people talk about the Ravelry. So I have been on Ravelry, but I am trying to stay away from it. Cheryl has led me to the pit, and led me down into the pit of, you know, crocheting, 27,000 things. I'm really afraid that if I really get into Ravelry, it's going to turn into a crevasse. My brother and my dad are mountain climbers, so I know all about crevasses. Here's my funny story about a crevasse. I was attending a wedding once and was talking to someone, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, did you hear about your brother's big fall on his last trip?" And I was like, "What? I haven't heard about it. What do you mean his big fall?" She's like, "Oh my goodness, he fell into a crevasse." And I'm like, I have not heard this story at all. I clearly need an update on what's going on. And they were just getting ready to start the story, and I went, wait. Did he get himself out, or did he have to be aided in getting out of the crevasse? And they went, "Oh no, he got out on his own." I went, "Oh, well, see, that's different. In that case, that doesn't count. That's called a detour." They laughed, and I went, "Honestly, I can totally see your family sort of saying that." And I'm like, yes, because then they would come home. They would never tell my mother that there was a fall. You know, they might have had a detour on the thing, which was really, Mike fell into a crevasse, but he stopped himself and he got himself out, and he was totally fine. But I was like, I had that stop. I was like, wait a minute. If he got himself out all by himself, that's not a fall. That's a detour. Anyway, so clearly when I tell you that how I tell the story is how I tell the story, and it may or may not bear a close resemblance to actuality, it runs in my family. We have our version of events, for good or for bad. All right, with that, let's get into some stitching. I'm very pleased with my weeks so far. I think I've had a very good, productive week. Actually, I just realized that everything is upside down over here because I stacked it in the order in which I worked on it. Alrighty. So, as always, let's start off with my Sunday stitching. This week it's probably going to turn into Monday because I'm recording this really, really late. So this is Little House Needleworks Winter ABCs, so this is my ABC project of the moment. My ABC project du jour. I am not a good French speaker, but anyway, I can read French and I can usually pronounce it correctly because we are a bilingual country, but it's not good coming out of my mouth. I am stitching this on a 28 count Springfield Sage Lugana, and every time I work on this project I go, ugh, this is just, I love this color of Lugana. I think it's the perfect choice for this. I'm very thrilled with it. So what did I do this week? So I came down here and I worked on G and H. It's not complete because of course this was a huge stitch, the house. So the house is not complete. And in fact, the brown, which I said in the video last week, I was, planning on getting all the brown done. Well, there's some trees at the bottom here. And I think there's about 20 stitches left up here. And then there's like, I don't know, 6, maybe 8 stitches down here. And I was just like, because there one's like two stitches per trunk, which is a start and an end for each one of those dumb things. A little bit here in the sleigh. There's, I think, 3 or 4 stitches left in the tree trunk. Anyway, if I'm going to come and start and stop and start and stop and start and stop, I want to do all the start and stopping all together. So my goal for this week, so whether it's actually tonight or whether it's Monday, part of Monday's stitching, is to finish off the house, get the trees done so I can get all of the brown done so that I can be done to H. And then, of course, start working on I and J, which is ice skates. And it says ice skates and mittens are there. So yeah, so it's coming along. I'm happy with my progress on this. Yeah, it's just coming along. I will say I did put in quite a bit of time on that one just because I tried to get the house as complete as possible. Now, it's not 100%, but you know, we're still moseying along. And in my head, I was going to go back and compare the total number of stitches in this one to how many stitches were in the spring ABCs, which I forgot to do, because I was wondering if there were more in this one. I've sort of looked ahead at some of the next motifs coming up, and I feel like it's potentially more a larger stitch than the spring one, but hopefully I will remember for next week that I can come back and have looked that up to see what the real stitch count is. But so far it's coming along. As far as I'm concerned, I'm still on track for the progress that I want to make on this particular project. And I was smart enough this time that I've actually set up a spot where everything goes after I talk about it. I know, 872 videos in, I may have the hang of this. Then, of course, I had, so May for me was my Mirabilia May, and my focus was working on my April's Blue Diamond. This is an older chart, but I love, love, love it. This is Mirabilia 47, so you know it's an earlier one. Love, love, love this one. Really glad that I worked on this. I had a whole bunch of stats that I was going to talk about this, but they're in the bag on the other side of the room, and I'm not going to go get it. Maybe I am. No, I'm not going to go get it. Okay, I've looked at all the things surrounding me and went, yeah, I don't know that I can maneuver everything successfully to do that. I am stitching this on a 32 count Aerial Lugana by Picture This Plus. So made really good progress this month, so I'm really happy about that. So yes, hopefully that's going to end up being the screen grab. So what did I get accomplished? So the big accomplishments were that I finished all of the flowers down here at the bottom of her dress. I got in all of the leaves here off to the sides. The leaves at the bottom of the dress were done when I started this, and then worked on these ribbons that come up and around. So all of that ribbon is done. So the next time this comes out, I will be working on skin because I'll end up doing the arms. Now I haven't started on the wings because so I'm planning on doing the arms and then working on the torso and up to her head and then doing the wings last. There is still a long, long way to go on this. So I think in totality, I really wish I had brought that piece of paper over. So everything but the beads. So again, the way this is set up in Markup Arcs P for me is that there's 3 pages. Sort of this is from here down is page 3. Sort of from here down is page 2, and then everything above that is page 1. So page 3 is done except for back stitching and beads, and I think there's I want to say that there's like 350 beads in the bottom part of the dress, or on page 3. There's about 700 on page 2, and then there's a bunch up top. So in totality, I want to say that there's maybe about 1,200 beads in this pattern. There's a lot left to go. The stitching on page 3 is complete. For page 2, I have about 1,000 more stitches left to go on that one, and then on page 1 there's about 4,600 stitches, which includes beads. So there's still a lot left to go. You know, I think did write this down in my book, so let's see if I... Now, so at this point in time, April's Blue Diamond is 60.7% complete. So over halfway, which is positive, but there's still a long way to go on this one. Anyway, and if I'd paid attention and I brought the piece of paper over, I would have all the stats because I wrote them all down. How much is left to go on every page, how many of it is beads, all that kind of stuff. There's a piece of paper in the lovely project bag, which is way on the other side of the room. Anyway, but happy with my progress, glad it came out. Part of me goes, I wish that I had made more progress. I think I would have felt a little bit better if I'd gotten all of page 2 completed and then all I had was page 3 or the first page. But I will say, if I looked at that stitch count and went, man, there's still 4,600 stitches left to go on that page. Anyway, it'll be fine. Progress is progress, and it's coming along, which is great. But I am in my head trying to figure out a way to have this come out a little bit more this year, just to make a little more progress. But I'm balancing that with, I'm looking at carryover whips from prior years that are sitting in my carryover whip basket that are still waiting to be touched at all. So we'll see how that goes. But made a lot of progress on this. So I put 3,368 stitches into this piece this month. So I finished off the ribbons, and I know there's only like 1,000 stitches left to go, but at that point I kind of said to myself I wanted to work on my other Mirabilia. So I combine Mirabilia and Nora Corbett as sort of one designer because it is the same person behind the scenes. The only difference between Mirabilia and Nora Corbett is the size of the project. Mirabilia means big. Nora Corbett means smaller. And so I have a carryover Nora Corbett, which I also wanted to work on in the month of May. So I managed to do that. So this is her Sweet Pea Fairy. I think this is my favorite. Well, it's top five favorite fairies, and they're all tied for like first and second place. So anyway, I love, love, love this one. I am stitching this on a 32 count Summer Sky Jobelan. And I had a goal for myself, which I did reach. So my goal was that I wanted to put in 1,000 stitches into this. So I only had 3 days after the last video to get all of this accomplished. Now, this one, it's a little bit easier to get to the 1,000 stitches because it's larger chunks of color. And I know I say that there's like 1,000 stitches left on that one. So if I'd just done the 1,000 stitches on April's Blue Diamond, I would have done page 2. But that's not exactly accurate. It's 1,000 stitches according to Markup RXP, but it's skin, which means I'm going to be doing it over 1, and it's going to be a lot slower, and I have to think harder. So I just put my 1,000 stitches into this one so that this one made progress as well. So I filled out this part. There was part of this one that was missing, and then really what I did is I started over here and I filled in every blank spot as I was coming across. And so I now have all of the bottom, sort of all of the bottom here to this purple is now complete. So the next time this comes out, right, so both for this one and April's Blue Diamond, the next time they come out, the next thing I'm going to be working on is skin. So arms for April's Blue Diamond and legs for Sweet Pea. So I'm going to do the legs, and then I'm going to come back up and do sort of do the top part of the dress, and then there's more skin here, so I'll do that. Then I've got this, which is regular cross stitching, and then I will come back and do the wings and the beading and all that kind of stuff. So the next time this one comes out, this is also due for some skin treatment. But yeah, once I do the legs, There are some cross stitches down here at the bottom that are part of these sort of vines that go around, so I'll probably do that at the same time, but that will be the goal for the next time this comes out. And when that is, nobody knows. I'm really worried that the next time this comes out may not be until next year. All right, which then of course means that then it was Thursday, June the 1st. I'm having a really hard time with that concept. It's Thursday, June the 1st. So it was time to start a new project, which is my June Quaker. So I have this as an electronic pattern, and I did not bother printing out the front cover photo. So this is by From the Heart Needleart by Wendy. This is what it's going to look like. Very bold choices for me on this particular one. I'm stitching this on 40 count white Verdal. And here's where I got to. So I've done a really big push at the beginning of this month saying I have to get this done. I have to. No more dawdling around and goofing around. When the Quakers come out, they need to be a hard push to get them done. So I did the green in this motif on Thursday. Friday I did the blue birds and the blue motif, and yes, the yellow motif down here. And then Saturday I worked on this ring. I'm telling myself that they're lemons. I know I'm using yellow. I really debated changing the color, and I just went, let's just go with the yellow. We'll have one that has yellow in it. It will be fine. I'm telling myself that it's lemons. It'll be fine. So on Monday, the goal, let's get my picture back. So on Monday, the goal will be to do this motif and this motif. This motif, it's supposed to be a cat or some animal. I'm probably going to change that into something else. And I'm contemplating doing a little bit of a redesign here in the inside of this one. So check back next week and see what I've done with that. So those two plus a redesign is my Monday task. And then probably not stitching on this on Tuesday because that's the 6th, and we'll talk about that in plans. And then all I'll have left to do is this big motif here on the side, and whether or not I can get that done, I might be able to get it done in one really good evening of stitching. It might take one and a bit, but then I'll feel really good about my progress that, you know, before Saturday, this should all be complete, which will make me feel better about making progress on that. So there is my June Quaker by From the Heart Needleart by Wendy. So that's coming along. Okay, so what am I using? I'm using the called for Finley's Gold, and I'm using the called for, these are both classic, well, everything's classic Colorworks. Finley's Gold, Old Blue Jeans. The called for green is Classic Colorworks Camouflage, which is way too olivey for me to handle. So I'm actually using Classic Colorworks Lemongrass, which is the same light green that I used in May. So I just carried it over. And don't kid yourself, as always, I pulled out about somewhere between 6 and 8 greens and ended up continuing with lemongrass. Kept the same one. It'll be fine. Actually, I'm happy with how it's looking. So there you go. Bold choice, yellow in the stitching. All right. So that's the stitching that I did this week, which I feel was very, very productive. let's talk Stashquisitions. So the funny Stashquisition, it's really a gift from, so it's actually a gift from the cousin that I was talking about that used to live in Halifax. She was catching up with my mom at a funeral that they were both attending, and I unfortunately wasn't able to make it. So she was kind of like going, "Where's Judy? I have a gift for her." So she had ordered this for herself, and she ordered one for me because she knows that I follow the royals. So she bought me a little box of Coronation Blend Tea. So very, very, very thoughtful. I thought that was great. So I have my little box of Coronation Blend Tea, courtesy of my cousin. So still trying to catch up with her to have a little chat about that. So but yeah, I'm really thrilled that she thought of me. And then I had ordered some JABCO buttons to go with one of the patterns that I have in my stash. It's an older chart, and I was looking at it and I was like going, we should probably get the buttons for this. And true to form, one of the buttons was no longer available, so we have come up with an adequate substitute, which I showed many videos ago. But these particular ones, the store had to wait an inordinate amount of time to get them, but they finally showed up. So this is leaf oak. This, well, probably oak leaf is really what it is, and then aspen, whoops, oak leaf, and then aspen leaf, and then this is just called gold leaf. So these three plus an owl charm that I have now mean that I have all the buttons that I need for that particular chart. And I laughed because they were like going, "Would you like us to staple these together?" And I went, no, I'm fine. And then I went, no, staple them together, because it also means I can put them in the project bag together. But even if for some reason, if I saw a bunch and that they were all stapled together, I would go, no, wait a minute, this is for a specific project. So they did staple them together for me. And then I ordered, so I picked this one up because it was available in the store. This is Mill Hill Treasure 12052. This is just, this is like a, it's the Frosty Dove. Sorry, I think it's now officially upside down. I need one more of these, so I put that on order. This is for stitching. This is for stitching like three years out. So I'm totally fine. And they laughed when I when I placed the order. They're like going, "Is this a really big career?" I'm like, no, this is like 3 years out. We've got lots of time. So, you know, whenever it comes in, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. So there you go. There's one down, one to go. And then a friend of mine, we put in an order with, we tend to do combined orders when we're ordering from Dying for Cross Stitch. So she was putting in an order and phoned and said, "I'm putting in an order. Are you adding anything?" To which, of course, I said, yes. So I ordered a piece of fabric. This is 32 count Lugana in Shadows Light. So it's just, you know, it's got a little bit of modeling. It's a little taupey, which I'm fine with. That was kind of the reason why I was aiming for this, because I didn't want it to be too brown. And anyway, so this is what I was hoping it was going to look like. I got a fat quarter as always. So yeah, very happy with that. Do I know exactly what project this is going on? No, that's not the point. I've got it in stash ready to go. While I was looking through my stash and my 5-year plans, I was looking at a project that is coming up towards the tail end of the 5-year plan and just going like, oh, can't wait to get started. It's going to be done on a Dying for Cross Stitch fabric. So anyway, several years from now when that project gets started, it's going to be awesome. And then ordered some threads. This is called Clemson. This is an overdyed cotton. So sort of, it's coming up fairly purple. It's more bluey than purple and ends up sort of with a navy blue. So very happy with that. This is their 25-yard skein. And then I also ordered Challenger. I was hoping to get the 25-yard skein of this one as well. Do I have anything white to put against this? Let me undo this. There you go. They didn't have the 25-yard skein, so my friend wisely purchased me three skeins, which is what she could get of that particular colorway, which was great. So that's called Challenger. I think Challenger is sold out now. But anyway, so that was great. And yes, I'm laughing. Why do I know that I think Challenger is sold? Okay, don't know why I think Challenger is sold out. Is because my friend and I have placed another order. Yeah, we've just gotten that one in. We've placed another order. That will be coming. I feel like I was relatively well behaved on that one. We were okay on that one. Anyway, so that one will be coming. All right. So those are the Stashquisitions, which brings me to the topic for this week's video, which is May review and June plans, because we are May, of course, has ended and June has started. I feel like I've had a really good start to June. But May. So what did I get accomplished in May? So I have my stats. Like I say, I was doing that earlier in the week. So I had all my stats ready to go. So I worked on a total of 8 projects. I had 3 starts over the course of May, which were the May Quaker, the Winter ABCs, and my Coronation piece. I had 1 finish, so the whip count goes up again. One finish, which was the May Quaker. Now, I'm not worried about the fact that the whip count has gone up. Over the course of the rest of the year, I am totally confident that the Winter ABCs is going to be completed in 2023. I am 100% confident that over the course of the rest of the year that the Coronation piece, my King Charles piece, will also be finished. So technically at the end of the month the whip count is up, but I'm confident that over the course of the year we'll get some of those carryover whips completed. Now here comes the really great stat. I had a good stitching month. I had a total of 10,306 stitches, which is my biggest stitch month all year, which was great because April was my least amount of stitching, which was like just under 7,000 stitches. So compared to April, I've got pretty much like everything that I got accomplished on April's Blue Diamond is over and above what I got accomplished in the month of April. So that was great. So I had a very, very good stitching month. I feel really good about that. I think part of that had to do with the fact that I didn't do nearly as much crocheting as I did in previous months. Although I still was looking at April going, how did I end up with so little anyway? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I had a good stitching month in May. So biggest stitching month so far this year. So we'll see how June goes because I feel like I've got June off to a really great start. I'm looking at it going, like I'm over 1,500 stitches already into, with 3 days of stitching, I'm already at 1,500 stitches. So doing really well on that one so far. So really good May. June. So what are my plans for June? So plan number 1, get my Quaker done as fast as possible. I think I've noticed that sort of like in sort of as I look back over my stitching over the past number of months, like I need to get that Quaker up and done. And so certainly when I was looking at the design for June, I was like going, okay, here's how I'm going to portion out the motifs. This is how I'm planning on doing them. And you really need to, you know, follow along with the plan, which is so far been working really well for me. So like I say, I'm expecting that, you know, maybe by Wednesday night, if not, hopefully halfway through stitching time on Thursday, I will have my June Quaker complete, which frees up the rest of the month to work on things. I will be continuing on with the projects that I have designated days for. So the 6th, I will be working on a royalty related project. So I think my goal is actually going to be to finish my Queen Elizabeth, the keepsake pin cushion, and get that one finished off. I might do the King Charles one. I don't know. I think I'm going to finish Queen Elizabeth first, and then I can focus on the coronation piece for the next several times. I have several royalty related pieces. Technically, well, right now there are 3 that are started. One has only been worked on as funeral stitching. So I need to get the other 2 and then I can go back to that one. So don't worry, the 6th will be continuing for quite some time, but hopefully on Tuesday I can get my Queen Elizabeth Memorial Keepsake Pin Cushion completed. So that's the 6th. The 11th, of course, is my Remember 9/11 by Just Nan. I am hoping, so I'm working on it on the 11th of every month. I'm hoping that I can get that completed in September of this year. So whether it's done on the 11th of September of this year or whether I need more time in September to get that done, I'm hoping to have that one finished and complete in September of this year. Why am I bringing that up now for June? Well, June is the tricky stitching because June is the word remember, which is being stitched 1/1. And I always, like, I can do it, but I am a lot slower at 1/1 than I am at 2/2. Anyway, so we'll see how that goes. From a stitch count perspective, the way that I have it set up in Markup RXP, even though it will be 4 stitches, it will only count as 1, and that's how I'm going to count it for my stitch counting for my nerding with numbers. And I'm okay with that because there's no point me going back through trying to figure out what the real stitch count is just get the block done and move on. So we'll see how much I get of the word remember done. Like, I would really like to, I'm planning, as far as schedule wise, I'm planning on trying to make sure that the 11th, which is a Sunday, which means, so here's hoping for a really cloudy Sunday on June the 11th, because then I won't be wanting to spend time outside. I can get my video recorded early, and it will give me lots of time to work on that. Which means I will bump my ABC project onto the Monday. But it will still get 1 day of work. So that's the 11th, and then of course I have my project on the 25th, which is Little Bits of Christmas. Hopefully by the time we get to June 25th, I will have come up with my final plan for where all of those remaining blocks are going. I still have not figured that out. Don't have a final plan yet. I keep looking at it, and here's the problem. I keep going like, well, maybe just figure out what the next one is. Anyway, I need to come up with the final plan. So hopefully, So should have looked at this. So June 25th, which is also a Sunday, so that's interesting. So both the 11th and the 25th are designated days. Hopefully by the time I record my video on the 25th, I won't have done the stitching, but hopefully I will be able to tell you what my final plan is for what the order of the blocks are going to be for Little Bits of Christmas. So those 3 those 3 designated days plus technically 1 day a week, which is normally Sunday, but apparently it's going to be 2 Sundays and 2 Mondays on my winter ABCs to keep my project going along. And then I have the rest of the month. So I have a carryover whip, which I'm starting with, which is Jeanette Douglas's Canadian Patriotic Sampler. So that is coming out. Unfortunately, my task is I need to unstitch some stuff. So this is an example. We'll talk about it more when you see it next week. I am not exactly following the plan. There's Jeanette's design, which is beautiful. It's me. I felt like I needed to do a couple of adjustments. I thought I knew what those adjustments were, which is why I stitched something and then it had to come out. So step 1 is I need to unstitch, and it's unstitching, not frogging, because it's silks. So I'm hopefully going to be able to successfully unstitch and save the silk and reuse it and get that restitched, because over the course from the last time it came out last year, which I think is the year that I got it. Yes, is the year that I started it. So I started it in 2022. Between then and now, I've actually gone onto the computer and sort of charted out what my real plan is for that. So now we'll have something concrete to work off of to make sure that I'm getting my spacing correct. So hopefully it will go better this time, but it will be different. Jeanette has come back from, I think she's back home from her trip to Italy. I think she's got, oh yeah, she's also heading up to the Stitch and Stash retreat in Edmonton at the end of the month. So depending on how fast I go, I might see if I can squeak in doing a video with Jeanette at some point here. See how she feels about my changes to her pattern. We'll see how that one goes. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, so check back in next week and see how I'm doing on my revamp to Jeanette's Canadian Patriotic Sampler. I would love for that one to be completed this month. Would love, love, love. And so I think I'm going to try to do a fairly decent push to make sure that that is complete in reasonable shape, because I have a project kitted up for June of this year as a new start, and I really, 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 really want to start it. I was looking at it, you know, as I was going through all my stuff. I really want to start it. I really, 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 really want to start it. So we'll see how that goes. It's kitted up. It's funny. It's kitted up. I was looking at one of the flosses and went, oh yeah, I was gonna change that color. So I need to haul out my DMC color card and get that change in there. Only one. There's a lot of colors in there. It'll be fun to talk about when it comes out. So yeah, stay tuned. Everybody put on your best, you know, hoping for good stitching time for me so that I can get my adjusted Canadian Patriotic Sampler finished in good time, because it means that then I will have a decent chunk of time to work on my next project, which I really want to stitch on. It will be very interesting to see how that one comes along. So yes, all taunts. I'm not going to tell you what it is, because if I don't have a good stitching month, I'm not going to tell you what it is. It will have to get adjusted somewhere in the 5-year plan. So I really want to get it started this month. All right. So those are my June plans. I would love to have another fantastic, productive, stitchy month. We'll see how that goes. I did get some crocheting done between last week's video and this week's video. Not a ton. So here is my, it's all folded up. Here is my big granny square blanket. And really the big deal, I should do it this way, just so I don't lose my ends. Really, I'm just working on that the final outer border, which is the white border. So I got a couple of rows in. There's still more rows to go. But I made some progress, which was positive. So from a crocheting perspective, my goal for this month, step number 1 is get this one complete, which means really all I have to do is finish this border, which should not take me a lot of time, but you just never know. So get that done, and then get started on the weaving on the plaid poncho, which you haven't seen. So that one's completely crocheted. I just need to do the weaving part that turns it into an actual honest to goodness plaid. But I figure that might take me a little bit longer. So my plan from a crocheting perspective, I want to finish off the granny square blanket, and I have to finish off the plaid poncho before I am allowed to start any new crochet projects. I want to start some new crochet projects, but I have to get those two completed before I'm allowed to start anything new. And at that point, I will be allowed to start one new blanket and one new poncho. I know what the poncho is. I'm really looking forward to it. Can't wait to get that one started, but I'm not allowed to start it until I get the existing one complete. And then I've got some options for what the blanket will be, but poncho is going to take precedence. So stay tuned for that. We'll see how that goes. So those are my crocheting plans for the next little bit. Whether it all gets accomplished in June is anybody's guess. I'm 100% certain that the gingham blanket will get finished. It was really funny because I was talking to a friend of mine. She is not crafty. She doesn't do crafting of any kind. And she was just, so I told her I was working on this lap gan, and she was just like, lap gan? What's a lap gan? I explained it to her, and she's like, oh, I guess that word makes sense. The other funny thing, here's the other story, is I was out at lunch this week and ran into someone that I went to university with, and I had my hair curly that day, and it was really funny because he didn't recognize me. He was just like, oh my goodness, I don't even recognize you. Anyway, he didn't ask me what was going on with the hair, but it was quite funny that he didn't recognize me. It wasn't until I called out his name that he stopped and had a good look. But anyway, it was quite funny. All right, that's all I have for you. It's quite late here on Sunday night, so we'll get working on this. I know I did not get the notes. Well, anyway, we're going to circle back. I know I did not get the notes up on last week. Those should hopefully go up early this week. I'm going to be working on, I just never got back to do them. But it reminds me, I messed up my Stashquisitions. I brought other things this week. They were all electronic, which is why, because they weren't sitting over here. But I wrote notes on them so that I could talk about them. So, Cosford Rise Stitchery, which is the online Etsy shop where I got my King Charles III coronation piece from, as well as they're the ones that do those monthly baskets. I bought, so you can buy them individually or you can buy them as sets of 3. I had already bought the summer set and I had bought the winter set and had already purchased those. I caught the sale. It was a very brief sale. This was a couple of weeks ago, and I bought the remaining baskets. So I bought these are the the series of 3 spring baskets, March, April, May. And I bought the autumn baskets. This is September, October, November. Now, we all know that there's no way that one's going to be yellow, so that one's going to get adjusted when I work on those. But I caught the sale, so I now have all 12 of my baskets. These baskets are sort of ranging in size from like 90 to 100 stitches wide by, sort of about 45-ish stitches high. So they're actually smaller than the monthly Quakers that I'm doing. So like all of the Quakers by From the Heart Needleart are the same size. They are, well, ish. So June is 79 wide by 115 high. So these baskets are smaller. They're about 50, well, anyway, they're smaller, which is great. I did look ahead. So there's about 2,400, 2,500 stitches in the June Quaker. I looked ahead to July. It went, It's another one. It's close to 3,000 stitches. So when July comes, I need to do a really, really big push on getting that one completed as well. Anyway, there you go. It's these people, I think the further they got in. Anyway, I haven't looked ahead to August to see how many stitches are in that one. Let's get through July first. And then, so I bought those 2 sets, and then I got a coupon from Vivsters, also on Etsy, and bought a couple of charts from her. Charts which I have no business purchasing, but I purchased. So I bought the, here's what it's called, the Super Long Band Strawberry Sampler. So this is what that's what that one looks like. So yes, it's a long band sampler. It's a long band sampler. It is 180 stitches wide by 480 stitches high. I have no business, but I loved it, and I had a really good coupon. I think it would be really, really fun to work on. It's not sitting in the 5-year plan. It might get worked into the 5-year plan. We'll see. And then I also bought the Quaker Primitive Colonial House and Walled Knot Garden Sampler, which looks like this. This is also not little. This is 190 stitches wide by 360 stitches high. I am nuts. This is just nuts, but I did it anyway. I bought them. I really like them. We'll see when I stitch on them. See, I'm bad. It's anyway. So those are the other Stashquisitions I got. So some of the Stashquisitioning that I was hoping to do as part of a Memorial Day sale did not work out for me. So there were some things I was looking for that I was hoping would go on sale for the Memorial Day long weekend. They did not. So they're still sitting in baskets. So now I'm hoping for a July 4th sale. Why am I focusing on those dates? Because they're from American shops. So I'm hoping that's where, if they don't have a July 4th sale, certainly one of the items will have to end up getting purchased regardless, because I'm going to need it for August. Anyway, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so there you go. Okay, that's really the Stashquisitioning. That's the plans. I'm wrapping it up now. All right, as always, thinking of the people of the Ukraine, thinking of the people affected by the wildfires in various spots across North America. Like I say, I did not catch the news today yet because I was focused on getting ready to do the video once I got in to see what the status is of the Halifax fire, but I will be checking up on that. And as always, stay safe, stay safe, stay safe. Safety first, safety first, safety first. I think I was doing something and I was just like, ooh, oh yeah, it was an outside task and I was dealing with the hose and I went, it'll be fine. And I went, honestly, the chances of you tripping yourself with this hose if you leave it like this is really, really high. And I went, how often on your video are you telling people to be conscious of being safe? So follow your own motto. So I did. I properly did things with the hose so I wouldn't trip myself up. Anyway, so I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying healthy. I hope you're finding some time to do some stitching, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.